Imagine starting to write your first book at the age of 50, then becoming a best-selling author and leaving a worldwide legacy. Well, that's exactly what happened to one Englishman who lived right here in North Yorkshire, a man who'll be known to many of you as James Herriot. And in this video, we're going behind the scenes of his real life, exploring the original home and surgery where he once lived and worked, and then heading out into the countryside to a place that Herriot himself called the finest view in England, where I'm going to be hiding one of his books as a gift for one of you to find. So let's go and take a look. Now today's adventure brings us, firstly to a rather confusing gate. I don't have an explanation for that. But today's adventure brings us to the town of Thirsk in North Yorkshire. And we're making our way towards 23 Kergate, the home and workplace for much of James Herriot's life. Now you may know Herriot from his various best-selling books, or maybe the adaptations of All Creatures Great and Small, the TV shows, the films. And he was a veterinary surgeon here in North Yorkshire who wrote about his life experiences. And it's a subject that on the face of it almost sounds like it would be too niche to find such a global audience. Maybe that's because I'm from Yorkshire, it feels quite familiar. But clearly there was something about Herriot's work that grabbed people's attention. He was writing novels that were essentially stories of his real life, featured real people that he was living amongst under fake names, and even his own name was a pseudonym, because James Herriot in the real world was actually James Alfred Wight, known to many as simply Alf. Now this pseudonym wasn't a creative choice, it was a necessity. He wasn't allowed to publish his books under his real name due to his profession, because this would have been seen as advertising. And after coming up with a number of ideas, all of which turned out to be pre-existing bets, he eventually settled on James Herriot, inspired by the Scottish footballer Jim Herriot. And with regards to how his stories found such a big audience, well, I guess there are a lot of answers to that question. Number one, well, his ability to write. If you've read the books, watched the TV shows, the films, or just seen television interviews with Alf, you can tell straight away that he's incredibly articulate and very skilled at telling stories and painting pictures. On top of that, he recognised himself that he was living, working and documenting a time in the veterinary world that was passing away. It wasn't going to be there forever. And so he was motivated to capture this and document it. So in a way, these stories are time capsules of a world gone by. And that's just two of many reasons why his work is so widely loved around the world. Now the building we're heading to right now is 23 Kergate, possibly known to many of you as Skeldale House. And when Alf first moved to Thirsk in 1940, this was his original place of work, and it went on to be a huge part in his life. His home, his workplace, and the very building that Alf and his wife Joan raised their family, their two children. And so it's a big part of the world of James Herriot, and it's very aptly named. Sounds like it was a bad joke now, but the world of James Herriot, because these days it's a museum. You can explore the house, which includes some of Alf's original belongings, a lot of items and interesting things in reference to All Creatures Great and Small, and it's going to give us a chance to experience a little bit of the life of James Herriot. I'll call him Alf from now on. And as nice as the scenery is here, well, let's get into Thirsk town centre and let's go and check it out. James Alfred Wight, 1916 to 1995. We've got James himself, and then the very man he came here to work with, Donald Sinclair, or Siegfried from the books. I'm guessing, oh, it does work. I thought I might be disconnected. Here he is. So this is all the original space. Now straight away, something that might seem inconspicuous, but was a very important part of the house, is the telephone. Because when Alf first moved here, he was working here with Donald and his brother Brian, and there was only one telephone in the house. So whenever this rang, one of them would have had to run through the corridors and down the stairs to answer the phone and find out what the next job was. So we've got the dining room and office. We've got a writing space over here. And one thing that's interesting about this, particularly looking back from today, the whole building, the fact that for so many years it served as a living space and a workspace. And that was possible in part because there weren't so many of these around. There were dogs at the time, of course, but the majority of animals they were working with would have been bigger farm animals, cows, sheep, for example. So a lot of the work would take them off-site onto the farms, which meant that the space needed in the building to carry out their job was pretty minimal compared to what it would be today. The sitting room. Now, although the typewriter was in there on the desk, this was a key part in Alf's writing process as well. He's been on record describing how he would sit in the chair with the typewriter, the TV on, something very light-hearted in the background, and just let his ideas flow out. We do also have some original belongings in this room that belong to Alf. I believe there are some books on one of these shelves, a Dickens collection, which is said that he read by the time of the age of 15. So he was pretty productive, even as a child. At least much more so than I was. I wasn't reading Dickens at 15. Here we got the dispensary, possibly my personal favourite room. And here's why. I mentioned earlier that this was a unique time period for working vets. And one thing that they used to do that I don't think is done anymore is mix their own medicines, many of which were not particularly effective, but the ethos was to try. They had to do something and do their best, have a go. Got some portrait photographs here too. So this is Donald Sinclair, 1911 to 1995. And here we got Alf himself. It's really difficult to get away from these reflections. So again, the size of this space kind of gives a bit more of a picture of what the world of vets was like at this time. They weren't inundated with small domesticated pets, so they could operate with minimal space. I'm not sure if that's real. It looks real. Listed as 2D, the price, 2 old pennies. This one's described as a day-to-day family room. And it even says here that Alf would occasionally carry out operations on small dogs right on this table. And that brings us into one of the biggest rooms, the kitchen. A long time ago, from what I've read, this would have been 2 separate spaces. This kind of farmhouse style kitchen and then a scullery kind of utility area. And this is one room described by Alf's son Jim. Alf and Joan had 2 children, James and Rosemary. And James, aka Jim, said that when they grew up here and lived here, it was not quite as colourfully and busily decorated. It was a bit more minimal, very much in the style of those farmhouse kitchens that his dad was clearly inspired by. And there's a lot of interesting memorabilia from that time. I don't know how many of these exist outside of here and abroad, but these are still kitchen staples. Ovaltine is definitely still around. Not super popular, but it's out there. Some very old Nescafe. All kinds of interesting things. This video is going to be a big challenge, not least because, well, there's so much to the story and the life of Alf and his family, but there's just so much around in the building. That is slightly disturbing though. Now this room is a videographer's nightmare. We got glass cabinets, lots of reflection, but it's filled with an incredible collection, of memorabilia, all of which was donated by one, gotta call him a superfan, surely, somebody from Wales. And there's absolutely tons of stuff here. Now, Alf's books were translated into many languages. The TV and film adaptations made their way across the world. Probably most notably, the original 1970s TV show, which ran for 7 series. And it was even rebooted more recently in 2020. So there may be some of you watching this who have got, who knows what, posters, pictures, jigsaw puzzles. Do you have these in other countries too? I'm presuming this is a toast rack. Sunderland, of course, the birthplace of Alf. Sunderland is a fair bit further north from here. Okay, let's carry on. Oh, the statue. Now this is probably one of the most iconic visual parts of the museum these days. And there's an interesting story behind it, because Alf and Joan's kids, Jim and Rosemary, were presented with the idea of creating a statue for the museum, memorialising their father. And to begin with, they weren't sold on the idea. They were a little bit sceptical, is it fair to say? And I can totally understand why, because I've seen my fair share of memorial statues that are not particularly true to their source. And when it's your own father, well, I can understand being a bit hesitant about that. Fortunately though, they were persuaded to give it a go and greenlight the idea. It was created and everybody was happy. And it's been here ever since. I'm not too sure where to go. I guess we're going this way now. Now again, there might be some horrible reflection here. There might even be two of these in the museum. One of them, maybe both, could be this one, was featured in the original series that released first in the 1970s. It's an Austin 7, apparently the same kind of car that Alf would have driven when he first arrived in Thirsk. Okay, we're going to skip the toilets, don't worry. We'll check out the film show. Here we've got some more information about Donald and his brother Brian, aka Siegfried and Tristan. There is going to be, unfortunately, just too much to show you everything. I know some people will want to see every detail, but it's a very big place. Hello. Well, I guess let's head in.
Round hay bales or preventative medicine. But they're still as popular as ever, thanks to the enduring tales and characters.
Yeah, very, very interesting, very true to life. Some folks might think they're far-fetched, but they're not. They're the Christmas cards, things as stupid as that.
Over 60 million copies have been sold worldwide. And I'm guessing this was printed a little while ago now. The books apparently have never been out of print. So they've really stood the test of time, and they're still being read by new readers today. Oh, and they're all here. All the different, or many of the different translations. To the TV studio. Hopefully this is interesting. It's honestly such a difficult job trying to present a museum, no matter how interesting the place is. It's a difficult setting to put across well on video. All right, let's try out the TV studios.
Action!
So we've got a lot of set pieces, clothing. I guess these are all the camera cables from back in the late 70s. And then this huge camera. Is this not facing the wrong way? 360. There we go.
I really rather fancy third of toaster last week. Would you forgive us, sir? Thank you kindly.
Got some scripts here as well. James, Mr. Dean, Tristan's on here too. Siegfried.
Let me introduce Stuart.
Now this is the car I was thinking of earlier, which I believe was in the original series. I'm going to imagine they're very expensive and probably not very efficient these days. Hello. Hello, Mr. Dixon. No worries, be there in 5. They need some help. Oh, we're on the monitor. Where's the camera? Oh, again, oh, it's there. I'm blind. This is the same person. Is this you again? I just bloody told you 5 minutes. It's only been 60 seconds, pal. Blimey, very impatient. Bloody Yorkshireman. It's the downside to coming to museums by yourself. You can't get the team, the team photos. The Duke of Gloucester. Don't know what else is in the rest of the building. Ooh, some pretty massive skulls. I'm going to cover this up. This tells us what all the animals are. I'm going to read them out in a minute, the answers. Number 1, place your bets. Tell us the animal. Number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. So number 1 was a pig, number 2 was a horse, number 3 is a goat, number 4 is a cow, and number 5 is a sheep. Oh, I missed 2. Got 2 other ones. This one is a dog, and then a chicken. I think I went the wrong way. I do realise there was an arrow here, but there was another one here, which I thought was a bonus section. But this is one big loop, I think. What on earth? This guy's about to get shipped overseas. So a horse dressed for rheumatism. No disease is accompanied with such long and extreme pain as rheumatism. The remedies, therefore, should be quick and effective. Warmth is effective and can be best achieved by wrapping the beast in flannel secured in place by canvas bands. To decrease pressure, the horse can be suspended in pulleys for the duration of treatment. That sounds horrible. What have we got in here? It's empty. So, oh, there is something in there. I don't think it's the job for me. Oh, blimey. Try wiggling the teeth in the lower jaw to discover which tooth is causing the animal discomfort. They're all fine. Oh! Sorry about that. Got a big pig, massive chicken, a kids' play area. Okay, and that's where we came through earlier, from the very beginning. A lot of veterinary history here. Now this is the horror room. There must be so many sides to a vet's life that would horrify most of us. I've read a number of accounts from the Herriot family and other people connected to this story, talking of having to deliver cows on site via C-section, probably a very normal thing to do for vets, but the descriptions are very detailed. Mr. J.A. White. None of this looks particularly nice. Are these real? It looks real, doesn't it? Yellow rat snake. I don't know what's in that. Alright, so we're at the end of the museum. We're going to head outside now and go out into the countryside. Not way too remote, but we're going to go to the so-called finest view in England. I don't know why I'm walking towards this copyrighted video. So we've got a very short drive to our final location. We'll take a look at this famous view, and I'm going to hide this treasure hunt giveaway item for one of you to find. So let's go and have a go. All right, a quick drive to get us just outside of Thirsk to the finest view in England. We'll be the judge of that. Here we go. There we go. Sutton Bank. Here we are, Sutton Bank National Park. I don't know anything about this place, I won't lie. All I knew was I wanted to finish this video somewhere outdoors to show you the kind of landscape that Alf lived and worked around. And we could have gone to some of the filming locations, but I thought we'd pick somewhere a bit more scenic. And as I mentioned, this is a place that Alf himself called the finest view in England. Setting some high expectations. Oh, here we go. The Cleveland Way. It almost looks like it's going to rain a little bit. It's kind of weird weather today. One minute it's roasting, the next it feels borderline thunderous. That's cool. That is solid. You can sleep in there. Somewhere to stay in case things go horribly wrong. I think this is it. Here we go. The finest view in England. I fear the scale of this may not really translate too well on this camera, but it is a great view. And there's some kind of poetry art piece. I'd ordinarily be happy to read that for you, but we've got a job to do. We've got a brand new copy here of If Only They Could Talk, which is Alf's or Herriot's first book. It's in a weatherproof wrap, so it can survive here for a long time without getting damaged. It's not going to cause any problems to the environment here. And I need to try and hide it in a way that only one of you, a viewer of this video, will know where to look. And I'm thinking, probably stuff it somewhere under this walkway. Possibility of nettles, yes. Ow. You can kind of see it there. It's not quite good enough. Again, I'm just walking around looking for a good spot, but I think it's going to have to be underneath the viewing platform, because all we've got here is wild conservation area. I think that's very unlikely to get found by chance. So hopefully one of you can come and pick that up. Today's date is 29th of May, so it might be a few weeks by the time you see this video, but hopefully it's still there. I'll do what I normally do with these treasure hunts. As soon as I know that somebody's found it and collected it, I'll update the pinned comment in this video. In the past, we've done a few of these and some of them get picked up the same day the video goes out. Others take a bit longer, 3, 4, 5 days. So if there's no pinned comment, it means, to the best of my knowledge, it's still here. Now that's going to be the end of our James Herriot adventure for today. We've got the local gliders flying around the area. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one though. It's always a big challenge for me trying to present a museum in video format in a way that's fun to watch. But let me know, and if you've got any suggestions for improvement, or drop them in the comments. And of course, if you've got your own memories and experiences of the James Herriot stories of all creatures great and small, well, let us know about those as well. Thank you so much for watching, supporting the channel. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done already, and fingers crossed, I'll see you on the next adventure.